Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world today. I'm Grace Kelly, founder of gracefulcoaching.net, and I'm a transformational coach supporting people in creating a business that honors their well-being. And for the last 6 years of my own business life, I have been hosting clients on retreats internationally in all sorts of luxurious locations from LA to Saint-Tropez, New York, Rome. And today I currently bring my clients home to me here in Italy, in Puglia, the south of Italy where I'm based, where we spend 3 days together retreating, and I combine culinary experiences, coaching, travel, shopping, style, and all sorts of my favorite passions into a particular retreat offer that just helps women settle down, get back their peace, access their wisdom, and develop that passion-based business that they love. So I'm delighted to see you all here today, and our topic for today is really juicy in my mind because it very much relates to what I'm all about and what I know a lot of you are going to be about and want to be about, and that is really around hosting your first retreat. So today's topic is how to stop getting lost in logistics and insecurities to confidently fill and host your first events or retreats. So you're definitely in the right place today if you want a passion-based business that involves retreats. You want to be traveling internationally, working with your clients. You'd love to work in a luxurious way with people and a high-end way. You're not interested in, massive numbers of people, but you like that intimate connection with your clients. You're also in the right place if you're done being financially dependent on others and you're ready to create something of your own, so you're earning your own money. And if you're really, really keen and ready to tap into that deeper purpose within you, that higher reason of being right now, that will move you to really play out your life and play out these remaining years of life doing exactly what you'd love. So here's what's going to happen on today's call. Initially, I'm going to have us do a very short grounding exercise. And then I'm going to share with you the content. And the content of today's call, if you haven't already checked it out, is get over logistics and get into your wisdom to move forward with those retreats that you'd like to host, those events that you'd like to host. And towards the end of the call, I'm also going to answer some direct questions that many of you wrote in with. So hang on the line if it's important to you to get to figure out logistics. But I'm hoping that the content answers the questions that are going on for you. And I also want the content today to inspire you and move you gracefully, okay? There's no better way for that to, or let's say no more entertaining way for me to share that, where basically we will also be addressing a lot of the content. But for those of you that are just super keen to sort of deal with issues that are holding you back, there will be an opportunity towards the end where I'll answer specifics that you've written in with. I'm also going to open up a special opportunity today for a limited number of you who'd like to go deeper. And so that will be available, and that will be towards the end of the call. For now, let's get straight in with a simple grounding exercise to help us be here and be present and to get everything we need from today. So if you just want to close your eyes for a couple of minutes and just sort of let yourself sit back in the chair, give yourself permission to be here now. Busy days, busy mornings, busy dreams you may have had if you're on the East Coast just waking up. Busy mornings you may have had if you're in the UK. But just really take this opportunity to I say become as solid as an olive tree. If you can visualize an olive tree right now, you probably see a deep trunk, and you'll see how strongly that trunk is rooted into the earth. And you'll see branches coming from the olive tree, and you'll notice just beautiful greenery. So you're really as solid and as strong as that olive tree right now. And I want you to see roots coming from your feet, down through the ground, down through the underground, and right down to a rock at the bottom of the earth. And wrap those roots around that rock. And see a golden energy of light coming up through the rock, through the roots, through the underground, the ground, up through the floorboards, up through your feet, and all the way up through your body, that energy of golden light immersing you now. And feel the body relaxing even further into the chair, letting yourself receive. And just being ready for your own insights, your own wisdom, your own direction. And when you're ready, just bring yourself back to the webinar and back to the room. So, my reason for today's topic is that I remember and recall when I was in my day job, really having the desire to serve in a new way, but I had a very specific desire. I had seen in a magazine that there was a new hotel opening very close to where my partner lived or came from at that time. And everything in my being wanted to get to that hotel. I've always been driven by beauty. I've always been driven by luxury and style. At 11 years of age, my biggest dream was to own a house like they have in Dallas and Dynasty. But this hotel, I took it from the magazine and I pinned it up on my board in my classroom. So every time I was teaching my pupils, my eyes were also directed towards that hotel. And that was a deep, deep desire. Now, little did I know, I had no idea that my life was going to change and it was going to involve staying at that hotel, living near that hotel, hosting clients in that hotel. I had no idea, right? But I had wisdom giving me, time to move on. Time to move on. But I had no clear direction. All I had was that little magazine cutout up on the wall. Now, roll on a few years, and as it turns out, I find myself living in this. I was able to leave my day job. My partner and I left London, moved down here to close by where he comes from. And we sort of were reinventing ourselves. We were starting afresh, if you like. We were getting out of the rat race. But I found myself, and people often laugh at this, after 9 months sitting on a beach, I found myself really, really bored, right? Like, I truly believe the soul is here to serve. There's only so much relaxation we can take. And I felt very recuperated after my 9 months. And I felt this urge within to to get connected to people again, to get serving, but I had no idea how, I had no idea what. And that vision on the board of the hotel, the luxurious hotel, had gone, out of my mind, really. What happened for me was I would go to that beach every day and I sort of take the dog for a walk, but also sort of, take the time to tune in and to meditate or to, talk to spirit. But I wasn't getting really strong answers. And there came a point where there was just a really deep frustration within. Like, I knew I had so much to give. My well-being was full. I was refueled. I knew I had something to do. I knew that I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed helping others. I enjoyed, being of service, but I just didn't know what the direction was going to be. And the turning point for me came when I really became so financially dependent on my partner that it was causing issues in the relationship. Now, it wasn't really on his part because he was generous and kind and wanted me to be happy. But it really was causing me a lot of unease. And in fact, I would even go as far as to say it was causing the self-esteem to really plummet. So the relationship I didn't know what to do with. The service I didn't know what to do with. And I just ended up in more and more frustration, knowing that I'd so much to give, but not knowing how or what or when or whatever. And I got a piece of wisdom that I want to share with you. And what I got was do an event. 3 words. Now, this did not make any sense to me. I had about £160, about $200 to my name. And I got, who's going to come? What do you mean do an event? And it was really interesting because the next nugget kind of came in as I stopped worrying about the logistics. And the next nugget was, collaborate. And it came to me who to collaborate with. I called up my friend and I said, listen, I've got this sort of intuition to do an event. I need someone to collaborate with. And it seems to me that, if I come back to London and we did something together, perhaps that would really work out. And she was open to that. And she said, yes, Grace, okay, let's do that. So here I am sitting on this beach, frustrated as hell, really, not just financially dependent, having to ask for money to go to the supermarket, having to ask for money to go do things, and sort of all the while the relationship, having just tension from my part. But here I am still getting this thing that doesn't make sense, do an event. I was thinking maybe I would get something like, here comes a client along and just decides they want to work with you and you haven't told them anything. But I trusted that wisdom. And I called up my friend and that was it. We began to plan a little event together. And again, I had no idea what I was how it came back in. And it occurred to me, well, Grace, you do this event and you invite people to this retreat. This is what you've always wanted to do. This was on your board in the classroom. This is 40 minutes from your house. You can do this. But now, looking back, I really didn't have the guidance at the time That was a very ambitious call for me, who was totally solo and totally on her own, you know, trying to pull that off. However, here's what did happen. I went to London, I did the event, collaborated with a friend. We brought together a small group, gorgeous women. And again, because I didn't have the confidence in myself, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, to sell the retreat I had the idea for, I sort of delegated that to my friend. Like, she had to do the selling, not me, because I didn't know how to do that. And I was so insecure about it. I was like, oh no, oh gosh, no, just leave me out of that. Anyway, it turned out my sales fell through the roof because I got let down, didn't know what to do, was left standing on my own 2 feet. And what I did at that event was I got up and I shared my story. I just shared about how I had left my day job as a school teacher, moved to Italy, and was now on this path of generating a new direction. I got up late, I got up and I spoke confidently, and I got up and I spoke clearly in the form of a story. And whilst the retreat idea, the sale of that fell flat, what happened at that event was a woman approached me and she said, I don't like this idea of a group scenario, Grace, but would you be willing to work with me on a retreat one-to-one? To which the word came flying out of my mouth, yes. Okay. And lo and behold, a few weeks later, I found myself hosting this client on a retreat in Paris, earning the same amount of money I had sort of had in my head to get through a group retreat. And then this woman then went on to become my very first client. Now, the reason I share that with you is it was all very organic, number one. I don't know what you're hearing in it, but in me, it was all very organic. And number two, it was simple. It was very simple. You know, it was scary to follow the wisdom. Logistics, the money, the hiring of the room, the collaboration, and oh gosh, this could all fall on its face. But I look back now and I think, gosh, if I hadn't followed that wisdom, if I hadn't followed through, I'm not sure I'd have this business today. And this business has taken me around the world, hosting those clients on retreats. And I know that's possible for all of you, to be doing something your way, to be doing something in a style that lights you up. Now, your style may not be, you know, a group retreat, or it might be, or an individual retreat. It might not be a 5-star hotel. It might be what it, you know, it doesn't matter. The details don't matter. And what I see happening so innocently is that so many of you get caught up in the details, the logistics. And here's what I want to share about that. Logistics and planning are really just the other side of insecure thinking. You've heard me talk about insecure. We're all in a world of thought every day. All of us. We live in the world of thought. If we're not thinking, we're not here. We're not living here. We're not conscious. We're not being. Now, for some reason, I'm just muting you all because I'm getting, yeah, okay. For some reason, you know, we don't always notice that thought. We don't always recognize when we're in it. And in my own case, you know, I assumed that insecure thinking, self-doubt, self-evaluation, concern, questioning, I thought that that was the main thing to get over. Actually, if you've ever been on a walk and you haven't realized you were on the walk because your mind was so busy planning what you were going to do later that day, or your mind was so busy like evaluating what was going to happen next, that is as tricky and as debilitating as all of the insecure thought. So we have insecure thought, and then we have planning and logistic thinking. These two things cram our brain and leave very little room for wisdom. Okay, they leave very little room for wisdom because self-doubt and self-evaluation, we're busy-minded. We're lost in thought. We're in the storm. Now, in my case, I often feel like planning and evaluating is a nicer place to be in than insecure thought. And I remember one day I was on a walk down through a gorgeous road in Devon, and I was feeling all proud of myself. Oh, look at me, you know, I'm not in insecure thinking anymore. And isn't this great? My mind feels clear. And then my mind went to, okay, Grace, we're going to turn left, we're going to turn right. When we get to the cafe, we're going to have the breakfast or we're going to have the coffee. You shouldn't have the breakfast because it's not good for you. You should just have some coffee and maybe something light. And how my mind was then in all the planning, and I caught it. I was like, oh my God, this too is noise. This too is not wisdom. So for those of you that keep getting caught very innocently in logistics and planning, it's not helpful. Yes, there's some logistics to get, and I'm happy to share some to help you today. But if that's where your mind keeps going, you know, what should I price? Where should I host it? How many people should come? How should I market it? What should my sales page say? What should I say this? If your mind is in all of that, essence of what you have to offer, they're going to feel your busyness. Now, what I can say from my own story in getting started was I really had a deep desire to serve. Like, I sat on that beach. Yes, I was frustrated with the financial dependency. Yes, I was really tense in my relationship and I really wanted out of that situation. But I was so deeply in desire to be of service, to connect, that fuel. Something about you just noticing today, where are you operating from when you say you want to host your retreat or you say you want to host an event? Where's that coming from? Because if that is coming from that desire to be of service, rather than a desire to pay your bills or a desire to be seen and recognized, or a desire to finally make something happen in your life. If it's coming from service, it will sell. I call this your spiritual marketing. It's not that you don't need real, tangible marketing, but your spiritual marketing is what draws people to you. And I truly believe that even though my event, my very first event, was a mess and chaotic and I didn't know what I was doing, and gosh, if I could go back and, you know, rewind, I would so have had, you know, someone help me do that and have structure in place and show up more gracefully, okay? But like, I truly believe that none of that mattered because I was coming from a deep desire to serve. And so that woman approached me and I noticed that, right? We don't have to make it happen, ladies. I'm so done with this American way. God bless my American clients, but they're living in a world of making it happen. And you don't have to make it happen when you're coming from a place of service. When you're clearly communicating what you've got. When you're up there sharing your story and being visible, people are drawn to you. Even if you were in a desert and you only did a little bit of your visibility now and again, they'd find you. Because we all love that feeling. We're all drawn to that innate sense of purpose within someone because we recognize it in ourselves and we want it for ourselves. So that woman that stepped forward, you know, all she did was she heard my story, and all she did was she led me. She said to me, I don't like this, but I like this idea. Do you think you can help me with this? I didn't know what my ultimate message was back then. I didn't know who my ideal clients were. Now, it became obvious over time, hey, Grace, if you want this to become consistent, because I think it took me about 8 months to land the next client. If you want this to become consistent, there are some things to get in order. And for me, that really started with getting very, very clear on my passions. You know, like as soon as I got that clarity, as soon as that was there, I knew what direction to take my business model in, what direction to take my offers in, what to do on my own retreats with clients, is bringing them through that passion process and helping them really see, wow, this is what's unique about me. This is the direction to go in. See, we don't have to worry about standing out. We don't have to worry about the competition when we're actually doing what the soul is already prioritizing. When we're actually offering what's already in alignment with what we truly love. And so my retreats today revolve around what I truly love, what I'm truly passionate about. And I think that's why I don't have to go out there and, you know, market hard and sell big and all of that. People are drawn to what you love. Now, if you focus on that, I can promise you logistics take care of themselves. But if your mind is always falling back into how, the question how, it's such an anxious question. How? There's such an anxiety to that. And yet most people out there are sort of teaching you how to. Well, that's not needed. But how many times have you got the how to, but you've still not done what you wanted to do? Right? Like the answer's not in the how. I would like for you all today to move your attention back to what comes before the how to, and that is, what are you passionate about? What's your wisdom calling you to do? And a quiet mind that's not stuck in planning and evaluating, nor self-doubt and insecurity. Kind of like a little trinity there of just those simple pieces that are so powerful. Now, I don't want to go off track here. So if you I'm just going to check my notes to make sure I've not gone the complete opposite direction, because sometimes I start speaking and I don't know what I'm necessarily on. But okay, so yes, okay, I'm on track with the content. So there is something really powerful too about when you go in that direction of your passions, you go in the direction of sharing yourself, you go in the direction of, you know, marketing and being visible in a way that feels good to you, not in a way that scares the life out of you. When you do that, the heavy selling is done for you. There's no heavy selling involved. And the reason for that, again, is that people just sense your groundedness, they sense your alignment, they sense your commitment and connection, and they trust that. You can't fake that. You cannot fake that, ladies, right? It doesn't matter how many books you read, how many courses you take, how many, how many, whatever you do, right? Your truth and your wisdom and your passions. But the good news about connecting with that is, it takes a lot of the hard work out of it. It takes a lot of the drain away. And it lets you show up as you. Again, that's why we don't have to make it happen. Now, for me, in my journey, eventually I did get to host clients in that fantastic hotel. A few times, actually. On my journey, I began to host people internationally. And logistics were important in the sense of, okay, I need this, and this in order to be well supported. But it wasn't the logistics that sold the programs or the retreats. It was that connection to wisdom, following that first, making sure the passions were included, my passions, letting people who were also passionate in that way come forward to me. No point working with someone who's not passionate. And then it was about showing up and sharing that. Now, the only reason I see people are not showing up and sharing and they're having a problem with visibility, well, it's kind of twofold and it's innocent. One is they think they should be sharing in a particular way, and that way scares the life out of them. So I know for my ladies, my ladies don't love social media. They're not social media loving millennials that love to shout about their latest Prada handbag and how much money they just secured, right? That's not my ladies, okay? So for me to develop a graceful marketing plan around social media would be nuts for them because it's not their thing, okay? But for us, when we tap into how would they love to share and be visible, and when they start to see an easy, graceful, light-hearted way to show up in the world, I don't see them stopping themselves, even if they've been stopped for years. The other reason people don't go ahead to offer is they get all stuck in the insecure thought. Now, I say that as if it means very little. It's a nuclear weapon in our head, right? And when you don't realize there's a bomb about to go off, you just spend your life sort of anxious about the bomb that, gosh, when's it going to go off? So of course you're not going to post things. Of course you're not going to do those things, okay? But if you start to sort of see where you're coming from, again, where am I coming from? What's my wisdom giving me? Or what's my insecurity giving me? Then you start to make a different choice. And so if you're feeling blocked or not visible because you keep putting a gun to your head when it comes to sharing, you gotta see what you're doing to yourself, number one, and you gotta also find a way to share that doesn't involve a gun to your head. Now, here's the good news about retreats, okay? Good news and bad news. People don't buy a retreat from a Facebook advert. Like, they just don't. So you don't even have to worry about that crap, okay? People are looking for an intimate connection before they're going to ever say yes to spending time with you. And from your side, as the expert, the coach, you don't want somebody that's just purchased you from a Facebook ad, because you have no idea the energy that that person is in, the place they're in, how they're going to show up. Even if they paid with their card within 5 seconds of seeing your advert, the answer is no. You must get to know your people before you invite them to spend time with you. At least that's how I do it and believe it should be done. A retreat or an event is the best of you because it's in person and it's probably somewhere that you would love to visit or where you live. And in my case, when I'm bringing people here to Italy, they're meeting my friends, they're going to my restaurants, they're meeting my chefs, they're meeting all the people I have to see a few times a week. So I don't want someone who's going to be rude, ungrateful, uninspired, like at a certain, I don't know, state of mind. Of course, it's my job to help them get into a great state of mind. But I think you know what I'm getting at here, right? You do want a bit of a screening process. So with that in mind, take the logistics, take the marketing logistics off your plate right now and look in the direction of getting in front of people. In my own case, I flew back to London, I set that event, I collaborated, and I got in front of an audience. That was the first thing I did. Nowadays, I get in front of you here on a webinar. I'm very blessed to have referrals come in. I'm very blessed to have a list. But even if you don't have those things, it's the personal connection that people are drawn to. So whatever your wisdom brings you around that is your direction, your first step. For some of my clients that are creating their own retreats right now, you know, what different ideas have been coming to them. And you'll hear a little bit later from Margaret about that. But, you know, ideas come in different forms. Like, we don't know what your wisdom will bring you. Here's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in you hearing that wisdom and following that. Because the only reason we end up without business, finding ourselves broke, finding ourselves stuck, finding ourselves still not doing what we want to do, is we're not following what's coming to us. There is absolutely no limit on wisdom. There is absolutely no shortage of wisdom. We are all connected to that. It's the same energy that turns acorns into oak trees, embryos into babies. That is beating your heart right now. That's running through your veins right now. That's got you here sitting with me right now. There's no shortage of that. So the only thing that happens is we get back up here and we start paying attention to the planning and the logistics and the question how. And we start going into self-doubt, self-concern, self-evaluation, insecure thought. And next thing you know, we're in a storm. Now, I don't know about you, but see, when I'm in the storm, it's hard enough for me to get out of bed in the morning. It's so tiring when you're in the storm, okay? Never mind trying to find your passions and create your retreat and go to your day job and do all these things that you put yourself up for. So there is something about knowing where you're at, being realistic about that, ladies. You know, where am I at, you know, mentally? Am I very mentally tired? Physical tiredness you can get over very quickly. Mental tiredness, you know, you need that storm to settle, to pass. And you want that. You know, I say to my clients, let that be your priority. Most of the time when clients come on retreat with me, they're like, oh, Grace, I'm not going to need the siesta. We can keep going. I build an afternoon siesta into the retreat. And I'm like, no, let's just see how it goes. And by the time siesta comes, they're sleeping. They're off to bed. And the reason people end up going to bed and going to sleep, and you might feel sleepy after this webinar, but the reason for that is their mind, their thinking is finally settling down, and it hasn't been not settled for months on end, years on end in some cases. And when it starts settling, the physical reaction at the beginning is to start yawning and to get tired and to want to take a nap. So there's something about knowing that how much you have on your mind, you know, determines the game. And how much you have on your mind can get in the way of hearing the wisdom within. And we all get it intellectually. Oh, yeah, it's thought. Oh, yeah, we got loads of thoughts. Oh, yeah. Okay, but give me my retreat. Okay? You know, again, if you're going to host retreats and events, you need to be ready for it. It's a beautiful container, and you want to be at your highest level of well-being, because that's really what you're bringing to your people. And that's really what they need from you, as well as all the logistics and the planning. Like, yes, my people come to me and, you know, we work on the passions, that they go through the process, they define what those are. We then create the package and the offer around that. We work on the copy, we get that right. We look at what's in alignment, and then we look at a graceful marketing plan. But again, that's kind of like, that's a big part of it. And what precedes that is what matters. Because there's no point having all these brilliant practical pieces if what precedes it is, I'm absolutely exhausted and I'm totally in self-doubt and insecurity and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, you know, I want to see the wisdom rise up. Because when we connect to that wisdom, it informs what happens next, the package, the marketing plan, the offers, the pricing, the value, everything. And the old me used to just work on that bit with people. And then I was like, why do some people get results and some people don't? This is weird. We're doing the same process. And I found the missing link. And the missing link is here. The missing link is when people aren't connected to that wisdom and they're not tapped in on those passions, this doesn't work, or this takes a long time, or this is effortful. So as you look at your retreat, as you look at your event, come from a place of, what am I feeling called or drawn to create? I love the question, what's calling me now? And rather than how do I do this? How do I do that? Oh my God, how? Here's what I love to say. I wonder what will get taken care of there. Now, does that mean I don't go looking for logistic support? Of course I will. But if I notice that my mind is veering more and more into the how, and my feeling is getting more and more anxious and more nervous and more insecure, then I know, Grace, no wisdom here, back over here. And that's the biggest thing, right? Like if when you begin to discern between your wisdom and your insecure thought, between your wisdom and your anxious thinking, your world will change. It just so happens that we have lived in the noise for so long that it seems real. And in my own journey, it was waking up to that noise that changed the game completely. Because until that moment, I just operated in that storm. So let me just take a check on content. There's one bit here that I haven't covered, and it's defining the true value of your retreat so clients understand why they'd work with you. Okay. So again, I'll share with you for me, when I was sitting on that beach and I didn't have any money coming in and I was getting more and more frustrated, and I at one point was even crying, begging God, you know, what's wrong? Please tell me, what am I doing wrong? You know, it was just such a frustrating moment, and the tears were rolling down my eyes, and I had this beautiful ocean in front of me, and I had this gorgeous world around me, but I couldn't see any of it. All I could see was, I don't have anyone to give this, my service to, and I don't have any money. That's all I could see at that time, right? Now, in a quieter state of mind, it came to me, this is random, I don't know if this works, but it worked for me. It came to me when I was like, well, how much money do you want, Grace? 5,000. That's what came to me. 5,000 is the number that came to me. Again, I had no idea how, I had no idea where. So when that woman approached me at the event, first of all, when I tried to sell my group retreat in Italy, even though I didn't know what I was doing at the time, thank God that didn't work out. You know, I was selling it for 5,000, right? I had my number. So when this lady came to me and we were exploring and what we're going to do, it came to me again, well, I'm 5,000. That was just where I was tuned in and the frequency was. So when it comes to your pricing or defining the value, I'm not really about you working out the value and the transformation. I'm way more interested in you tapping into your number. What is your number? And I so innocently see people get lost in that. Well, so-and-so is charging this, I should charge this. Or, gosh, I charged this last time, maybe I should charge this time. No, tune into your number. Okay, it's different if you're selling a program of 200 people and they all have to pay you $997 by the 30th of the month. That's not what you're doing, okay? Tune into your number and see what's coming. Your wisdom has that number. Mine had that 5,000. And as it turned out, that was what I began charging clients every time we did a retreat. You know, that was my number for quite a time. So for those of you that are feeling like your brain is going, yeah, but I need to know what to give them. Okay, I hear you. And you need to have a grasp on the transformation on offer. What are your people walking away with? And if right now you don't know, it's okay. Sometimes it's arbitrary until it's tangible. Sometimes it's in the formless and then it's in the form. Okay? I would imagine many of you have some sort of idea on what you'd like people to walk away with, what you'd like to help people with. And it's just very important that you own that. And the way to own that, as I have seen over time, is to keep doing it. Keep giving it to people, keep sharing it, keep offering it. Don't get distracted with it. Don't go in a different direction every time you decide to do something. Just keep going there. Because your soul's path has a direction for you right now. And it's okay to be arbitrary. I didn't know how I was going to help that client that approached me. And we took a few conversations to explore more deeply what she needed. Again, this is the beauty of retreats and events. Get up close with your people. Take the time to find out. Don't go arbitrary and go write a sales page based on things you think she might want. But always be sure that what you're going to help someone with is in alignment with your passions. Have that clarity, have that certainty. The thing about knowing your passions, the thing about really having those, I call them, there's about four pillars that we come to. The thing about having those 4 pillars is you can't go wrong. Because everything you create around that, you can have absolute certainty selling. Because it's who you truly are. It's your deepest purpose. It's only when we're trying to promote or market or sell something that isn't in alignment with those passions, isn't in alignment with the soul's path, then it becomes a bit of an uphill struggle. Sometimes people are innocently doing that because they see other people doing it. Like I look at some of my mentors, past and present, and I'm like, wow, God, I wish I could do that. I wish I had the energy to do it like that. But then I look at my passions and I know that the number one thing for me is well-being, right? And I know with great certainty that everything that happens in my business has got to have my well-being intact. Otherwise I burn out. And I'm not available to do that anymore. Okay? So finding a business that honors your well-being, that's my mission. Now I can look at my mentors and go, oh my God, I wish I need to be doing that. I should be doing it. I want to be doing that. But then I also look at my passions and I say, Grace, that's not really on your list. You got to do it your way. Now I've found a way to be doing it that honors well-being, that honors lifestyle, that honors intimate connection. And I truly believe that that's why it works and it's graceful and it's natural. And it doesn't require heavy selling. It doesn't require all the how-tos. Yes, it requires logistics. And I'll answer some of those coming up that you wrote in about. But really, it requires this connection to the passions and the wisdom that's within you, that are driving you. Because when you follow that, you have higher vitality, you have greater accomplishment, you have an easier time with selling and marketing, you're coming across real, and you don't have to push. You don't have to do it the American way. You don't have to be a social media loving millennial that's always on her phone with the latest product. You don't have to. Unless you choose to, you're welcome to, right? Now, in finding a way to really create something that, honors what's important to you, that's how you'll succeed. And that starts with knowing what those passions are. That starts with knowing what your wisdom's calling you to. And creating your offers and your retreats around that and doing it that way. Now I've found a way to do that. That's what I do for a living. That's what I can offer you. That's what this is beautifully demonstrating as we talk today about being able to host your own retreats and events. And the way that I love to start with people is through that passion process. And once we have those crystal clear passions, once we have those 4 pillars, we have something to work with. And once you have that discernment between wisdom versus insecurity, we also have a direction of travel for what you're being called to do. See, some of you right now might think you're being called to market a certain way or do retreats or events, but wisdom might have another way. Like in my own case, I thought I was going to do that group retreat all those years ago at that event. I thought that's what I was selling, that's what I was going for. But then wisdom had another way. Okay, so we start with that connection to wisdom. We start with trusting self, following that. We start with those passions. We start with really defining those. And then we move into creating the offer, the package, the retreat of your dreams. And with that, as we get clear on that and we put that together, we develop the copy that best reflects that. I always say I was a language teacher for 7 years, and I'm kind of obsessed with language and linguistics, right? I'm sort of a self-taught Italian speaker, but language is very important to me. And so developing the copy and the language with you is part of the process I take you through. Because you want to have something that people relate to. We all have incredible, spiritual, formless ideas, but we want to bring those into form. So that's why I feel that, helping you with that bit is important. And then we look at, we map out that graceful marketing plan that's easy, low tech, doesn't have you with a gun to your head, afraid to show up in the world. Okay, but will allow you to be highly visible. And then I help you execute that in the world. I help you bring that to life. I help you, stay on the path, the soul's path to doing that. And as a result of that process, you feel clear, you feel confident, you know what you're doing, and you feel at peace. Hopefully some of you are already feeling that peaceful feeling today. You feel at peace because we've simplified your way. And here's my agreement with you is I don't make you do it my way. Okay, a lot of coaches I've worked with have insisted that I do things a certain way. Okay, I'm never going to shame you for wanting to do things your way. And in fact, when we have the clarity on your passions, I will be expecting you to only do it your way, because that's what's going to be unique about what you offer, what you put out in the world, what you market, what you become visible with. So the first step to actually starting that plan together, to looking in that direction together, to considering that coaching together, is to schedule a call with me. And you can do that on gracefulcoaching.net/speak with Grace. I have 3 spots available to speak. Can speak with one of you after this call. If your heart is touching you and saying, reach out, we can speak right after this call. And I would encourage you to look there. I would encourage you to fill out that application if you'd like to go deeper in this way. What I will share with you here as well is that there only is your way. There only is your soul's path. So I'm not about you asking me a million questions on, what do you think? Do I do this? Do I do that? What do I do? Do I do this? Do I do that? I am way more interested in you deepening the trust in yourself and us leveraging the ideas that are coming to you and following those. Okay. I'd say where my coaching differs to others is in the fact that whatever we create together, for me and for you, it's about honoring that well-being and you getting to do what you love. So you never have to go back to that job again if that's your thing. You never have to be stuck on that financial dependency the way that I was too. You never have to be in that position of frustration, to having so much to give, but not knowing how to give, where to give, who to give to. So if that speaks to you, get in touch. I'm going to answer some really logistical questions now that came in. But before I do, I want to bring Margaret on. Margaret's in Scotland. And Margaret is a client who has not only attended a couple of retreats here, but she also started hosting her own. And the thing I love about Margaret is she called me up, I think it was more or less after a retreat, and she said, well, I've left my job. And then a couple of weeks later, she called me up and she said, and I've hosted my first retreat and I'm doing more. So I think she's a lovely person to speak to, because it's all very well hearing from me, but it's nice to hear from someone else. So Margaret, would you like to share with us, what do you think allowed you to go off and host your own clients in that way?
Yeah, I would love to, Grace. I've just got to say it's been an absolute beautiful webinar. Just listening there. Fantastic, thanks. For me, it's certainly like working with yourself and coming on retreat. The biggest thing that's come to myself that I realised is that I was actually filling up my own cup. That's that's the best way I can describe it. And from that place, my whole well-being has really risen, that I just naturally, the urge would be then for me to go and serve.
Yeah.
But in a way where I just was so happy to serve, but in that space where I just had, that's what I would say. It's like my own, filling my own cup.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, that's what I help a lot of my ladies do.
Yeah.
The job part for me is, it did happen because we had been working, especially, I've been on quite a few year retreats and events and worked one-on-one, and everything is just very gracefully how I see, especially now. It's actually happened just kind of, I want to say, a nudge at a time.
Yeah.
That's how, it's been like, right, okay, we like that, we'll go with that. But then what happens is you look back, I've been reflecting on this, Grace, and I look back and it's like, wow, I've actually, there's been a lot of change personally and professionally, which is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I just feel doing retreats is, for me, I just absolutely love it. I love doing them. And my next one, and the clarity I've just had after yourself there, is Edinburgh. That's where I'm being called for my next one. And I even see the venue, I see everything. But there's no, because I've got that, I'll follow that. That's wisdom guiding me, and it has been for quite some time on this.
Yeah, I remember you said it. You said
Yeah,
it before you left Italy in October.
yeah,
Yeah, it's still there for you.
yeah,
Lovely.
absolutely. And interestingly, it's where when you really honor that, and you're not lost. I used to call it, remember the hurricane, like Hurricane Maggie,
Mm-hmm.
and that real storm. That's for me settled more and more and more. And it is that when it just comes, it's actually just trusting that, trusting your nudge.
Mm-hmm.
And but I certainly don't sit with loads of plans, and it then happens organically. And interestingly, I seem to attract my ladies very in a way that we meet for coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and already it's come to me quite a few ladies that I'm just thinking, I wonder if they would like what I'm going to do in Edinburgh. And that's as simple as it is for
Yeah.
me. And that's how I've really filled them all.
Well done, Margaret. Can
Yeah.
you can you say like, because you've been on retreat with me here in Italy a few times, like, I guess number one, what keeps you coming back, and number two,
Right.
what's your favorite thing about it?
What keeps me coming back is certainly is I mean is going to Italy is absolutely beautiful, but I keep coming back for yourself, Grace. Um, for I always say it's great being on Zoom, but I love actually being in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's that deep connection, there's like a groundedness and things. Often I think what I've realised is your insights really they seem to, because you're out of your everyday environment, you're out of everything. So it can really open up things very gracefully and very like, it was so obvious. Now
Yeah,
I've got
isn't
it. Yeah,
it's that I love that, because our wisdom is so obvious, but we just miss it.
yeah,
People are often looking for some big crazy I don't know, some magical thing, and it's like it's so obvious when the mind
yeah,
quiets down. It's just so obvious.
yeah.
Um,
And also, I
Lovely.
was just going to say, just to speak to actually
Yeah.
Italy is, and I know that's really helped bring me to where I am. That this part of my journey is really getting reconnected with my own feminine self and beauty, and I found that being in Italy, going, for the different restaurants, the food, the people, meeting all the different people, all the different things that you bring into your retreat. That I feel really fills your cup in so many ways. So you might go thinking, I'm going for this particular thing. I tend to not work like that. I tend to just go and just see what's going to arrive. And but each time that I do, that I've been on retreat and then I come away, it's quite amazing what actually comes up, or what comes to me, that's really lasting. It's not
Yeah.
just for a day, or it's. So I came away from Italy just recently when I'd been on retreat, and it was just like, love yourself like a goddess, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I realised I was needing, although I
Yeah.
didn't realise that
Mm-hmm.
before I went. It's like, yeah, right.
What is your brand still, Goddess in the City? Is that where you're
Yeah,
blogging now? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Thank you, Margaret. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So
Thanks, Grace.
people can find Margaret on goddessinthecity.com
.com.
and
Yeah.
.com. And yeah, I mean, as Margaret said there, ladies, it's sometimes we want to show up to something with an agenda, but there's such a beauty in receiving coaching for you, filling up for you. I know that's how I work now with my coaches. Is I used to sort of be like, well, I have to get this, and this, and you know, and if I'm going to pay that money, I want to get this. When I show up for letting it be an opportunity to tap into the wisdom that perhaps I'm missing, perhaps I'm ignoring, that's when the biggest changes occur in my life. So I love that you shared that, Margaret, that, you know, sometimes it is just about showing up without an agenda. Now, as it happens, as you heard me share today, ladies, I am also about the practical. I do want you to be supported with the expert experience that I have over the years in things like the passions, the process, the offers, the copywriting, the marketing plan. I do want that for you too. But there is something so much deeper than that when it comes to really, really discerning between that crazy noisy voice and that wisdom that's guiding you. Because when you start living from wisdom more and you let that inform the direction of the business, all of the practical pieces start to work. It's not because you pump in more money on Facebook ads. It's not because you take another course. It's because people are drawn to that level of well-being, that level of clarity in you, and that connection to the alignment of your passions. So retreats are not the only way I work, but they're the way I love to work. I also work online with clients now and again. So if it speaks to you, get in touch. You can explore doing that whole process together. And you can do that on gracefulcoaching.net/speak with Grace. Now, I'm going to move directly to some very important questions, some of which will have been covered. If you're feeling really sleepy and tired at this moment, it's okay. Perhaps go have a rest. Perhaps your mind is quietening down, and with that you will get tired. But if you want to stay on and hear the answers to some, I guess, logical questions that have been on people's minds about creating their events and retreats, then stay with us. So here we go. Denise wrote in, what is a graceful way to ask your network for referrals when you know you have something valuable to offer the right people? Okay, great question. I'm glad that you're seeing something valuable, Denise. That is the key. If you can see that it's valuable, I always say, if you can see it, you can sell it. Okay? So if you can see that it's valuable, you can sell it, because it's when you don't see, you know, the value of what you're doing, or it's when you're doubting or you're in the insecurity, that's when it's harder to sell. So these referrals are going to be a breeze for you because you can see the value and you can see that you've got something valuable. Okay, so graceful way to ask your network for referrals. Well, I have a template that I use, Denise. And as a former client of mine, I'm happy to share that with you personally. So I do use that template where I basically, you know, I'm gracefully asking for and communicating with the right people for the right referrals. It's not about just asking anybody and everybody and throwing it out to your network. It's really looking at, you know, who do I love working with and where can I find more of them? And often the person you love working with has direct access to more of themselves. So I'd be happy to share the template with you. And in general, around asking for referrals, be bold. Some people offer a commission on referrals. I've been blessed that people have sort of just out of being highly satisfied with our work together, gone and told others about it. Like, that's the place you want to be. Like, you want to be in that place where you don't even have to ask for referrals, and they're just coming towards you because you've got a bunch of happy customers that feel the results. Okay. So, but in the meantime, you know, if you have a network, be bold, reach out, identify who you'd love to have more of in your life or who you'd love to work with more. In some cases, you could do a cross referral too. So what that means is, you know, you could be sending people, if it's appropriate for a particular service, and they could be sending to you for your service. So you could work out a cross referral together with people as well. But that has to make sense. I mean, you're not just going to offer people a referral because you got to have a referral for somebody. It has to make sense. And the other thing I love about your question is, you know, retreating in particular, very personal. It's not impersonal. So it should be referral based. Okay. I know when my ladies who have been here with me, when they send me somebody, I can already trust that there's going to be a level of connection and there's going to be a level of getting on and all of that. So there is something really nice about letting your retreats or events fill up through that way, through that referral process. In the meantime, if I haven't sent it to you by tomorrow, give me a nudge and I'll send you the template that you could edit in your way and use if it helps you. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at another question here. Okay, Lisa asks, what signifies a great package? What features should I include? What are great bonuses? Okay, well, I think at this stage, I hope at this stage in the webinar, you have heard more deeply the importance of following your passions. Okay, that's what signifies a great package for you and for them. Okay, now there is a case of wanting to give your client what she needs. It can't just be all about you. However, what signifies this great package is really what lights you up. It's going to be what are those 4 pillars that are driving you? What are those 4 components? When I take people through my passion process, those 4 components have to go into the offers, have to go into the business model. When they don't, you very rarely see momentum with sales. And the reason for that is that people are kind of lukewarm about offering their packages or their retreats because they're not entirely inclusive of their passions. Okay. So, what signifies a great package is going to be different for every one of you. And it's going to be very personal to each of you. Okay. The more you have your passions attracting, you will draw like-minded people to you that want to do that. Like, for example, one of my major passions, as I said earlier, is well-being. Okay. But another one is around the social connection. So that's why in my retreats, I know other coaches would never do this, but in my retreats, I go to dinner with my clients. I take my clients to dinner. I take my clients for wine tasting. I take my clients shopping. I do those things because it's not just a kind of, now we're in business and now we don't talk to each other. For me, the social connection is very important too. So I have built in that we do those things together and it's a lot of fun. That makes a great package for me. If I was just showing up and they were, constantly left to their own devices, the social connection would be missing. Similarly, I generally will organize a dinner where a group of my friends will come together with my clients and we'll all go to the restaurant and then meet new people. And there'll be new insights through new conversation. Again, the social connection is being met. So I really encourage you to know what drives you, to follow your passions and to put that in your package, because that's a great package, okay? And what features to include, that again, it's up to you. What do you love? What do you love to include? Like for me, I love bringing my clients to a world-leading spa. That's a feature. I love to do that. They love to do that. You know, other features, again, have got to revolve around what you'd like to do. I know when I did my very first retreat in Paris with that client, you know, the feature that I included was at the end, we did a chocolate tasting at the end of the day. And that was a cute little feature that she really liked. Now, oftentimes, remember, people don't care so much about the features. They care about how good they're going to be when they're done working with you. Okay? But if you have something valuable to offer and you're confident in that, then you can start adding the features and talking about the features. But you don't want to talk about the features, you know, before talking about what, you know, the transformation your people are going to get. Because features are secondary. Another example was, I think when I was working with one of my coaches, you know, the feature, like, yes, it was great to fly to California, and I suppose that was a feature for me. But the reason I flew all the way across the world just to do 3 hours of coaching at the time was because of the transformation on offer. It wasn't because, you know, I was going to see Santa Monica or whatever it was, you know. So just be aware of that. You know, the features are, they're secondary, but they've got to be what you would love. All right. So for those of you planning retreats and events right now, think about that. You know, what would you love? Think about that. That would be important. We just hosted an event in London, and it was a mini retreat day. And then at the end of it, we had a party. So you can see a theme here with me. You know, the social connection is so important. But we had a party at the end to celebrate our rebrand. So that was the feature. You know, come to the event, get your coaching, get your clarity, and then at the end we're going to party. And that was a feature that I really loved, and they did too. Okay, so I hope that's helped, Lisa. Let's move on. Okay. Angela writes in, what about filling it when I don't have a list? I'm putting the idea, committing and having to cancel. Okay, I hear you. Committing and having to cancel. Let's go there for a sec. You know, I've seen so many people make mistakes with this, in the sense of they're so ready to put down thousands of dollars to hold hotels and rooms, and they don't have to. And here's why, okay? You want to have deposits down from your people before you start putting money down in hotels. Not because you don't trust that people are going to come and all of that, but it's just a wise business decision. You know, I have had clients that hotels were asking for tens of thousands of dollars, and the retreat was like 9 months away. Hotels do not need that money in advance. And in fact, you know, you don't have to be concerned about that. You're bringing them the business. You're bringing them business. So if you were to call them up like a month before your retreat and say, okay, I've got 4 people, but we're probably going to be 10. Can you take the money for 4? And the rest will come. Like, you're in the driving seat when it comes to hotels, they're not in the driving seat. And I think that's just a little mindset switch. You know, obviously, if you're going to host a group in a hotel in the highest season of the year, then I guess they can be like, no, we need your deposit for then. But you know, you do not want to host an event or retreat in high season, because it's going to be so much busier and so much less graceful for your people. So committing to having to cancel, I hope that answers that question in some format, Angela. Filling it when you don't have a list to fill your retreat. Referrals are great, as Denise mentioned. You know, who has access to the people that need my offer? Go connect with that person, right? Go collaborate, go see what your wisdom brings you there. But, you know, you need a list when you're deciding to run I don't know, like a 50 women or 100 women program. You need a list if you're like me and most of your time is spent in a foreign country where you don't really speak the language fluently enough for people to understand what you are. Like when I say I'm a coach, Italians think it's a bus, okay? So, you know, I need a list for a reason, okay? Don't get caught up on that logistic. A list is not necessary. Milan writes in, okay, do you send personal invites to people in your community? Yeah, I like that, Milan. Yeah, you could send personal invites. I think that's beautiful. You know, I think there's something very intimate about reaching out and of course, it being in pure honesty, hey, I think this is a good fit for you. Like I'll do that with some of my clients and I'll say, look, you know, this is actually your next step. We've done what we can do online. It's time to go deeper. It's time to be here. It's time to give yourself a break from all the crazy thinking you get lost in, you know? So personal invites are a really nice way. And you can do that not just with clients, but to your community. You can do that, Milan. Are running ads to your sales page the best way? No, we've answered that one. That's definitely not a good idea. Well, I don't want to say it's not a good idea. Maybe it is, but it's not the way that I've seen success, okay? A sales page when it comes to retreats, and you're all welcome to go look at my sales page for retreats over on the website. It's just under the retreat section. It's there to... The sales page is there to, what should we say? It's not there to sell the retreat. It's there to give people a taste of what's on offer. You know, my own page over there that you'll see is basically a sample of our brochure, okay? I just did away with the sales page because I was like, there's no point having a sales page for the retreat because people do not purchase retreats from sales pages. Okay. So, you know, I hope that helps in the sense you don't have to waste money on ads, number one, with retreats. And number two, you don't need to waste money on a sales page if you don't want to. I've sold so many retreats without having anywhere to send people. Okay. Again, because you've got to be on the phone and finding out what people really need from you and whether or not you can give it to them and whether or not a retreat is the right way. Okay. I was going to say something else about that. It might come back to me. Oh yeah, a Facebook ad is good if you're doing a webinar like this. That's when a Facebook ad is good. Or it's good when you want to build your list. And a webinar, if you're confident enough, is a good place to open up the possibility for people to get on the phone with you to discuss attending your retreat. Okay, I know your retreat is a few months away, Milan. You can start that marketing now, if that way of marketing appeals to you. You know, but But again, tune in with your wisdom on that and what's coming to you about that. Okay. So one last question. Katie writes in, how to become visible. She wrote in, okay, how to become visible. Well, Katie, I hope today's webinar helped answer that, because, you know, becoming visible your way is what matters. It's not a generic thing. How do I become visible? It's a very good question, but it's also, can you feel the kind of like how big that is? I would ask you to narrow that down a bit, and I would consider, you know, what's drawing you to share? In what way are you feeling called to share? What's your wisdom bringing you? When I first moved over here, you know, I was so kind of like missing my people because no one spoke English. So what occurred to me, this is way before I had any idea it would become a business, but it occurred to me to write a blog, and I was writing a blog every week and sending that on Facebook, and people were following that. Okay, now I had no idea that that was a means of me being visible, that was building rapport, that people were starting to follow and listen and watch. And, you know, I had no idea that was happening. But now I can see, looking back, oh, okay, that piece of wisdom was very important to follow, because when it eventually came time to begin to offer something, I had already done the groundwork. The groundwork was there. People were already connecting to the blog, which was selling nothing. It was just my way of trying to get connection again. So you get to become visible your way. You get to become visible with that direction. Now, when I sit down with clients, once we have that direction, we map out something that is tangible and structural that they can use. Okay? Do this, and this, and then you'll be okay. So really ask you first to find out in yourself what way you'd love to become visible. Anybody trying to become visible with a gun to their head is not going to last. And what I mean by that, I said it earlier, is if you're here and you're like, oh my God, I need to make money. Oh my God, I hate doing Facebook ads, but I need to show up. Oh my God, if you're in that mode, you know, that's not a place to come from in your marketing. And it'll be very hard for you to sustain showing up in a way that you feel afraid of. Again, I said earlier, my ladies are quite afraid of, they're not interested really in social media that much. And so sometimes there's an insecurity around, I should be doing it on social media because everybody else is, or I don't know how else to do it. But again, if they're trying to do it on social media and they have a gun to their head, I should be doing it, I don't really want to do it, I think I'm afraid to do it, it's not going to work. So let's find your way, Katie. Okay, so ladies, I hope this has been helpful. I don't want to extend you today. I think you've got enough of a taste here regarding, you know, the direction you can go in, the place you can come from. Hopefully this has brought peace and ease to your own internal feeling and will allow you to go create and host and fill your retreats and events. If I can be of assistance on your path, I know that that is the best way. Again, when I tried to do it on my own way back, you know, it was great. It happened once, and then it happened 8 months later. It was when I really got the help on board, the clarity, the communication going. That's when things really took off for me. So truly believe that helping you in those areas will be a game changer. And if that speaks to you, you can reach out. In the meantime, thank you for being here. It's been lovely to see you all. and I can't wait to see you again soon. All right, lots of love. Ciao. Bye.